Nice. And everybody, there's a nice, Jared, thanks for hyping it up in the chat. It looks like an opportunity for a visit to the WRP easement, as well as presenting on doing projects like this in the future. Oh, and Linnea Hall asked, what's the WRP? Jared, do you mind clarifying that? Okay, I'm going to close the poll down, Wes, and we'll go to the next section. Can anybody clarify what the WRP is?
I could do that. This is Julie Burkhart. Oh, I see Jared answered on the chat, but Wetland Reserve Program, it's one of NRCS's cost share programs.
Nice. So I'm going to share the results of the poll I just took. It looks like the first three options won out. You see that, Wes?
Yeah, I can see that, Gary.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into, and Jared, I'm also thinking we can add that. I think it'd be great to have that tour. If we don't get it in the first round in September, that could also be an option as well. I think it would be a great thing to learn about that conservation easement there.
Yeah, happy to help wherever I can.
Appreciate that. And so the lower Little Salmon River tour, we threw out some ideas, and I'll kind of run through them and see what folks want to see. And this would be in September, probably early September, and we can kind of figure out a date that works for folks. But let me, 1 second, I'm having some trouble moving there we go. So option one would be to get into Boulder Creek. And so what I'm calling the lower Little Salmon area is anything below Round Valley. And so kind of getting into some of those major tribs that form help, make the Little Salmon a bigger stream, bigger river. And so the Forest Service has done a lot of work in restoration on Boulder Creek. And so I talked to Lee Bailey, and then that could be an option if folks are interested in going into Boulder Creek and looking at some of the restoration and good work that the Forest Service has been doing in that watershed. And so topics would be, what they've done as far as aquatic organism passage, road graveling, and future projects that they're going to be doing in those watersheds to improve water quality in Boulder Creek, which in turn improves water quality in Little Salmon. That's one option. The other one would be taking a look at Little Salmon Falls. We park, there's a pullout right above, kind of across from Smoky Boulder Road there. I think these falls have always been really kind of fascinating to me because, it's interesting to see what the CCC did back in the day. There's structures on there where they were trying to get fish past there. And so it's kind of a really interesting stopping point and looking at it's pretty amazing. I still scratch my head to see how they did what they did back in the day. So it's a neat spot to kind of look. And this is really where we have the break between, we know we have bull trout, steelhead, and Chinook below these falls, but nothing above. So it's kind of interesting spot to look if folks are interested. We could talk about kind of the history and some of the fish passage at some of these. We'd probably go just to one location because otherwise you're walking down that road and it's really dangerous. So we'd probably just talk about that first stopping point. Option number 3 would be kind of driving into Hazard Creek. And then there's a pullout right where Hazard Creek enters the Little Salmon. And it's just a confluence where Hazard Creek comes in. I think most people here know as you're heading down 95, there's a pullout on the right-hand side to go to Hazard Creek. It's about 15.5 miles north of New Meadows. And this would be kind of just talking about this role of these tributaries, these cold water tributaries that come in to the Little Salmon, and then the critical habitat for listed fish species. So I think that could be an interesting stopping point. And then the fourth would potentially, again, taking a look at Rapid River. I think most folks are aware, this is further down in the system as well. before you get to Riggins, you take a left on that Rapid River Road. We were thinking we could park at potentially the trailhead there because there's good parking, and then kind of understand, maybe from Fish and Game, get a tour of the facilities, what they're doing for fisheries, and even just doing a small walk up. There's a little platform right there looking at Rapid River and understanding that role of Rapid River has as far as water quality to the little salmon and fisheries. And so again, this is just a good talking point. And then I would say that's kind of the 4 choices we came up with. If folks have ideas for that lower section, but even we could even stop where Jared was talking about on the way there, to stop and look at that conservation easement, because I think that's a great talking point. So that could be, I don't know if we have the ability, Gary, I don't want to throw you on the spot, but we could add that back into the poll for this, if that is a potential.
Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time, but yeah, I just added it to the poll. So thank you, Jared. I added that as a 5th option. Dean's had his hand up for a second, so I want to go to him and then jump over to Jared.
Thanks, guys. I was wondering, you mentioned the falls there. What is exactly, I guess, what is the purpose of always coming back to the falls and bringing up the Andromedas fish that cannot pass that area? It's a natural barrier. Yeah, some people contend there's different things, but it is a natural barrier. If there were any fish that came up that, they've been extinct for over 120 years. I talked to the Office of Species and Conservation, the governor's office, about the falls and on up, and they told me they are not interested in that. They want to concentrate on below the falls and up the Big Salmon River to the critical habitats that they can focus on and improve at this time. Not saying that someday in the future that might not happen, but it's like, why I'm wondering why we're even mentioning the falls and anything above it.
Yeah, it's a great question, Dean. I think it's a really important break in the watershed, first of all. And we know, like you said, if we want to have better fisheries below the falls, some of it is improving water temperature and water quality in the upper watershed so that we have that impacts the fisheries down low. It's also, it would, right now you could not have, even if you made the falls no longer a passage barrier, and you've seen the work that's been, people have tried to do the CCC and the history. It's a really interesting point, and it's a great break in the watershed. And I think there's, like you said, there's good discussion points. I've heard from other folks that back in the day, there were fish above this, and it's kind of getting that conversation started. So it's just a great discussion point, is why we chose that.
Nice. Thanks, Wes. Let's go to Jared.
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to kind of throw out there real quick was the term easement. I understand that a lot of people hear the term easement and they think, not interested, I'm not giving my land to the government, whatever. But often what we did through this existing easement, it's a good opportunity to highlight a lot of different things that we can do through other programs. So I don't want people to have the impression that if we stop and look at this easement site, that's all we're focusing on. We're really looking more at the ecological impacts of what was done and how it was done. We have a lot of other programs that can do a lot of the same things that aren't permanent easements on the property. So I don't want anyone to be scared off by the term easement. That's the path this individual chose, but it's certainly not the path that anyone else has to choose if they want to do some riparian type improvements on their properties.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarification, Jared. So I did add that to our poll, which I'm going to share right now. Thanks, everybody. So I just put that up again. We've got the 5 options now. And Jared, yeah, thanks for offering your spot up and for clarifying. Also wanted to turn people's attention to the chat. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to, based on what Adriana shared and what some other folks shared earlier, if there's an opportunity to put together a list of organizations maybe that are showing up to these meetings, but then also have resources available, if that would be of interest. But we can certainly do that, just in case people might not know about it or might not know what's currently available to them.
Yeah, I think that would be great. This is Adriana, and I would appreciate everyone's contact info so we can continue the collaboration.
Yeah, I think that would be great. All right, we can start putting that together. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the poll. And we'll share the results. So it looks like tributaries, Hazard Creek, Boulder Creek, the Forest Service improvements, and then the WRP with the NRCS is our top 3 choices for the second field trip. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. We'll make sure that gets posted. Wes, did you want to come back on? Do you want to clarify anything on next steps for the field trip or?
Yeah, no, great. Appreciate everyone having the input. And then what we'll do is we heard you on which ones are you're most interested in. So we'll start putting together some agendas that, Gary, I don't know if you'll either email those out or put them on the website or maybe both.
Both.
And we'll start working out logistics. If we do have a van, you know, it's always easier to be able to get a lot of people in 1 or 2 vehicles. There's nothing worse. I think everyone hates seeing these caravans on field tours of 40 cars, everyone driving individually, but some folks may want to drive individually, which is fine. And then some folks might want to jump in the van. So I can update folks as we get closer, but we'll try to send that out with having an agenda and itinerary here in the next week or so, and then have the logistics kind of ironed out and make sure we have speakers, willing speakers, you know, if Tim's able to talk on the water diversions, great. If not, we have these locations that we can go to. And so I think we're all set, but that's kind of what we'll be doing, Gary, is putting an agenda together, getting it to you for distribution. And then with times of where we're meeting, where we're going, what time frames, we'll stay 1 hour here and then travel to this location. It'll take this much time and kind of go from there. So just kind of work out the logistics.
Excellent. And so then to wrap up, so next steps is we'll be hopefully early next week or as possible sending out the logistical plans for the upcoming field trip. I've been chatting with Rebecca offline, and we'll try and get the videos posted along with the notes. And again, I apologize for slipping on the record button for the early part of the second half, but we will have the notes posted. I want to encourage everybody, if part of this too is hoping that the people that show up here will bring other people's attention to the collaborative. So it's all our responsibility to reach out and share this. Again, we're trying to be as transparent as possible, having all our information up on the website. You could just send somebody there, and that should be enough to help them get started. Again, there's an email contact. If somebody wants to get involved, send them to me and I'll make sure they get on the email list as we move forward. And then, so those are kind of our 2 next steps: field trip planning, getting the information posted on the website to be shared. And then also, as Adriana said, let's look at getting a contact list of who's showing up to these meetings. And that can be shared so people can reach out to each other as they have questions, as they have resources available to share with others. I think a side benefit could be a list of that as well. And if folks are willing, we could certainly put a list of, if your organization's willing and has resources for individuals or groups, we could put that on the website too. So yeah, that's all I have for this second session of the Little Salmon River Watershed Collaborative. So just want to say thanks everybody for showing up, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, well, and then, oh, Sandy, I see this, you've got a note about when to meet. Thank you, and thanks for sharing that. And what we can do too, as we move forward, the planning, there is an opportunity if a core group of folks from different interests want to get involved in helping plan and move this forward, that kind of role of an advisory committee that's representative of everyone who wants to be involved can certainly help nail down the logistics for all concerned. So there's opportunities there as well. All right, thank you all. Have a great day, and enjoy the rest of your week. Cheers.